औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलामु अलैकुम जी आयानु पखैर agale ni hao chunashumme washmale ohai gonzaimas guten morgen hola bonjour privyet kaifa hal hale shuma chatore ahlan wa sahlan marhaba buna mucho gracias swabia bhalli kare aya hosh geldin and ayo hasayo khuyamora chivato chihajut kalimera and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the one and only Shahzad Hasan Khan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first things first, I hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your Tuesday morning with us. It's wonderful to know that there are people out there in 46 different countries who've been waiting for us to come on live, and here we are. But I think alongside that, I would certainly want to ask my wonderful, well-learned colleague, host, Ms. Hajar Satti, that I hope that you're in front of your television screens first up and that you're feeling well and that we miss you over here. Obviously, you know, we are a dream team and we make sure that, you know, our dreams come true, alhamdulillah, with all the blessings of Allah Almighty. But ladies and gentlemen, before I get started, you know, today there's one thing which I wanted to address, and it's very interesting. You know, a lot of times we do see, because a lot of content on internet is now about you know, motivational speaking and how people inspire other people, you know, people who have a lot of money, and then they start to inspire people as well. For example, Sean Tate, right? And if you are to kind of speak about motivational speaker, there's a list of people who are actually trying to do so that they can actually have content which can actually earn them a lot of money. It's good. You know, I do not have any difference with that. But the only problem I have is understanding that where to, you know, how to implement it. So imagine that, you know, every now and then you will come across a video where there'll be this gentleman on top of his energy and be like, you know what, everybody needs to come out of their comfort zone, you know, follow their passion and whatnot. But all of these things are very hypothetical. And I'm sorry that I have to put it this way, because when I was 20 years old, or when I was 21 or 22, I certainly did not have an understanding of what my passion is going to be in life. And that's a gradual process. You eventually learn, and then you eventually reflect upon yourself. You give back to the society. It's good. But there's my understanding of comfort zone, and that's something which I'm going to put right in front of you. And you can actually kind of comment on this. Make sure that you log onto your Facebook, Twitter. World This Morning is the name. Please make sure that you kind of let us know as well. So for me, and this is something which I deduced from a book which I was reading. It was by Jordan B. Peterson. I've been reading it for a longer period of time. It's a big book. So I'm trying to learn quite a lot. And so what he says is that within his book, he says that comfort zone is something where, for example, now, alhamdulillah, I think of myself as successful. Shukr, alhamdulillah. And I think that's the first step towards success, that everybody needs to understand that they value themselves as much as they want people to value them. I think that's the first step towards success. But when we come down to comfort zone, ladies and gentlemen, there's only one thing which I kind of made sure that I'm going to share with you all, and that is that comfort zone is, you know, okay, you were doing something, you're successful at it, and that's it. You know, you go back home, you have that leisure, you know, luxury at your disposal, you have enough time, you spend time with your family, it's great. But I think for me, people who actually stay within their comfort zones, they get a little redundant as well. And it's because of the fact that they're not looking for newer avenues. You know, they might have a lot of potential to do a lot of better things for whatever they are doing, because Allah might have a lot of us for more. And I think these are the lines we need to think on. So what I would suggest is that make sure that one of your leg is in your comfort zone and one of your leg is in uncertainty. And that means that you're actually trying to follow such a thing which might give you great benefit, but there's a lot of risk to it. So, you know, you keep one leg out of the risk and you only keep one leg within the risk as well, and that passion which you wanted to follow, because not everybody's doing what their passion is. So please make sure, never kind of judge the depth of the river with both of your legs. I think that's the important message. But with that, we're going to move on towards the top stories. Let's see what's happening in Pakistan and all over the globe as well. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we live in a world where we say that it's a digital world. Everything is digitalizing. So a lot of cyber attacks coming in, and the first story is about cyber attacks. The cyber attacks launched by the United States Central Intelligence Agency to gather intelligence information and organize transboundary covert actions pose a threat to all countries around the world and should be widely condemned. China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center and cybersecurity company 360 released a report entitled Empire of Hacking. The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, which uncovered evidence that the U.S. has unleashed an empire of hackers that have long conducted systematic cyber attacks on various targets. It comes after recent leaks of highly classified Pentagon documents have shed light on the extensive spying activities conducted by the U.S. on its allies and foes alike, raising questions over United States interference in other countries. Others have also questioned the ethical nature of how the U.S. has exploited technology to illegally obtain information about other countries. Well, it did take place even while Trump was contesting for election. I think there are a lot of allegations on that, how he used, these social media platforms in his favor. So I think it has been going on long, and we certainly really cannot just rely on news. I think that, the countries really need some evidence to kind of prove that. But moving on, where Al Nasser were held to a 1-1 draw at home to 14th placed Al Khalij as Cristiano Ronaldo's team failed to keep the pressure on Saudi Pro League leader Al Ittihad. Ronaldo's fellow Portugal countryman Fabio Martins opened the scoring for the visitors in the 4th minute before Spanish defender Alvaro Gonzalez equalized 13 minutes later with a header from a free kick. Ronaldo endured a frustrating night, including having a second-half goal ruled out for offsides as his side dropped 2 crucial points in the title race with just 4 matches remaining. Al Nassr sits second in the league, standing on 57 points, 5 behind Al Ittihad. Well, it's good to see how Saudis are actually kind of focusing on all the different arenas where they can branch out all the different dimensions. It's wonderful to have, the A+ category athletes coming down to Saudi Arabia and playing for them. Even just now, I think Messi was fine because he didn't really share it with his club that he will be visiting Saudi Arab, and that too with his family. A lot of people were making a lot of noise that, hey, you know what, they do not give rights to women and whatnot. But I think by the end of the day, Saudis are actually playing the game the right way. I think I am all in for them. I think that they have shown the world how to respect their religion, our religion in the first place, even when we talk about Qatar football, because the football World Cup actually took place in Qatar, and they actually made sure that people have a better understanding of their religion. They made sure that they're going to highlight it as well, and I think it was a wonderful competition to witness the way they've done it, and that's something which the world says. Towards the end, ladies and gentlemen, the first truck art exhibition showcasing Pakistan's diverse cultural landscape in Langfang, China has attracted a large number of Chinese students. The truck art exhibition is opened in Langfang, China to celebrate Pakistan's 83rd National Day and 2023 as the China-Pakistan Year of Tourism Exchanges. The exhibition, which will continue till July 24th, was organized by Pakistan Embassy in Beijing in collaboration with Silk Road International Arts Center, Langfang and renowned truck artist enterprise Phulpatti. The opening ceremony held on April 28th was attended by more than 300 people, including Chinese dignitaries, government officials, and members of the diplomatic corps, and business executives, media representatives, and Pakistani community. A specially designed truck model and other items ranging from bicycles, murals, clothes, fans, and ceramic pots were designed by the Phulpatti team for the exhibition, which would last for 3 months. Wow! Congratulations to Team Phulpatti. Please make sure that you keep on raising the flag of Pakistan high. Truck art is one of those things, ladies and gentlemen. We have been around ever since we were born, and I think we have loved it, to kind of see Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab's portraits on trucks. Not just that, Tausa Khelvi Saab, for everything, a lot of poetry actually comes on our truck art as well. And so I even remember a few of those, but I don't think that, I should be actually sharing them over here on television. Few of them are very romantic, a few of them are very sarcastic. So whenever you are on GT road or highway or motorways, you can actually see a lot of truck art, which actually fascinates a lot of people. There are buses in England, London, which I've seen by myself as well, which represent Pakistan's truck art, in Canada, in US, even rickshaws as well. Now we have pan rickshaws, even in 5-star hotels these days as well. So it's wonderful to see Pakistani culture going beyond borders. But now coming down to what are we talking about today? And this topic, this subject has been really close to me, and that is that I do not know whether people, because I do not care about it, whether people are going to call me or label me religious or not, but I think that, that's the question which I will be asked by Allah Almighty towards the end of my life. As soon as I leave from here, my soul departs from here, ladies and gentlemen, the question which will be asked from me will be that, who is your Allah? Who is your Nabi? Did you offer your prayers? And all of these questions, ladies and gentlemen, you really need to prepare yourself. And to prepare that, obviously, we need to learn from Quran and the life of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now the only problem over here is that, so I've been an avid advocate that, okay, because back in those days, I don't think that our parents had, I do not know whether they had the luxury to actually kind of afford an expensive teacher or not, but the qaris over here obviously weren't really well prepared to educate children. And I am saying so because imagine that, so I'm reading the Quran in Arabic or Arabic, and then, certainly there's no translation, so I do not know what I'm reciting. It's good that you're reciting, Allah will give me whatever benefit Allah has to give me. But for me as a Muslim, it is my utmost responsibility, and I'm urging it to people out there that we really need to kind of understand what the Quran tells us, because Quran, for me, and obviously there'll be better understanding because I have a professional over here who will be teaching us about that as well, and now he has helped other people. But for us, it is to understand so that we can reflect upon this, because there's something which I do not know what it means, but I keep on saying it, what's the point? So imagine that your heart, that serenity which your heart needs to get, ladies and gentlemen, it will only get it only if you stand to understand. But now, so what happened was that my daughter was reciting Quran the other day, so I went outside, and because I understood it as a problem, because, for me it was difficult to kind of understand the meaning of namaz in the first place, then, whatever verses we recite, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly need to understand those verses and what do they actually mean. So to kind of talk about this, I went on and spoke with the Qari Sahib, was like that, once he is done reciting all the 30 paras in the first place, because it's the first time finishing the Quran, then we'll move on towards translation and Siratul Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to have a better, or to give a better understanding of what our religion Islam is all about. But ladies and gentlemen, over here, imagine somebody identified it as a problem, and now alhamdulillah, he's actually got a YouTube channel worth 10 million subscribers. He's making sure that he's going to give away free education, that too about Quran. There are courses. Now he's made a center over here somewhat around near Rabat, where 1,600 people can actually sit in one auditorium. 8,000 people have attended those courses, and all of this is for free. And we're very lucky that we've been joined by this gentleman over here whom I met just 2 days ago at a ceremony, ladies and gentlemen. He happens to be Dr. Maaz Aslam. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you doing today?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's an absolute honor, and I feel a lot of pleasure always coming to your show.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful, and thank you so much for your kind words, and it's beautiful to have you over here. I think it's an honor for us to, and it's a greater honor for us, because the kind of services you're providing to people, and that too for free, I think we certainly need them. And it becomes our responsibility. It's a shared responsibility to kind of share it with people that, hey, you know what, there's this free educational channel on YouTube with 10 million subscribers in 70 different languages, and whatever you need to learn is over there. Please go ahead, and that's it. I think it's wonderful. But first things first. So you happen to be an ENT surgeon. You come from a family of your background is everybody's a doctor as well. We'll move on to that. But don't you think that this preface which I built for the audiences out there, don't you think that it's really important for us to understand our religion first, and then understand what the Quran tells us and the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Yes, absolutely. So you were mentioning about Jordan Peterson and his book, maybe perhaps the 12 rules
yes,
as well. So another author in the same category is Simon Sinek.
Yes.
And he says, he wrote a book, it's called Start With Why.
Okay.
So what happened over the years was that our why, it slowly started going out of the picture. So for example, if you walk up to any non-Muslim, or even a non-Muslim, he comes up to you and he asks you that, tell me just one book that I should know, I should understand, so that I can know what you believe in, what are the values that are dear to you, and what is it that you are living your life for. And I'm sure that in 99.99% of the cases, 1.6 billion of us, they would reply, it's the Holy Book of Quran.
True.
But if he
2 billion of us.
It's almost 2 billion now.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So if he turns back on us and he asks us, do you understand that book? So we'll be like, no, we do not.
Yeah.
And he'll say, okay, I can understand that you do not know the whole book, but maybe perhaps a chapter, maybe a verse.
True.
And then we'll say, no, we do not. And then he'll say, then he will be like, how much time does it take to actually understand that book?
True.
So this is where the breakthrough came for my own self in my life. It was that in the last few decades, there have been revolutionary breakthroughs in how you can understand Quran in a very short period of time.
Okay.
Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself promised 4 times in a single surah, Surah Qamar, that I promise that I have made this book very easy to understand in just one chapter alone.
Yeah.
But again, if you ask a typical Muslim or any Muslim, and you ask him that what is your reason behind not understanding this book, that you are supposed to recite 5 times a day and the emphasis has been laid on it. Most of the time he will say that I cannot or it is too difficult. So, on this point I would just like to add for your audience benefit, just 125 words, they make up 50% of the Quran. 600 words, they make up 85.2% of the Quran.
Wow.
If you take, even among all of those 600 words, up and about 73% to 75% are there directly in the Urdu language.
Okay.
So, for example, if you are taking Surah Fatiha, the most commonly recited chapter across our life, if you go and ask our people, 99% will say we do not understand a single word. But let me just put it in front of you. So, Hamad, Rab, Rahim, Rahman, Yom, Deen, Malik, Ghair, Ghazab se Maghzoob, Zalil se Zaleen, all of these are already in our language.
MashaAllah.
So, for example, the center you mentioned, one of the courses that we offer online and in the center, it's just a 16 hours program, after which you will be able to understand your namaz and the 10 most commonly recited surahs directly.
Wow. And so while we're at it, and a lot of people might be watching us as well, alhamdulillah, why don't you share the name of your channel in the first place so that if people are looking at us right now, they could go and check themselves?
Right. So, our channel's name is Free Quran Education.
Free Quran Education.
And what we did was that, like you were mentioning about your daughter, for example, so already the content, the scholarly work, it exists for thousands of years.
True.
But unfortunately, it was not reaching the masses because of a huge divide in how it was compiled and how it can be taught to the masses on a very large scale.
True.
Before maybe last 20, 30 years, before the advent of the digital age, perhaps it was not even possible to teach to the masses.
True.
So, what we did was that we not only took that scholarly work and we took the best scholars in all of those fields, but we also paired it up with state-of-art visual learning. So, for example, you might have heard of a very famous YouTube channel, it's called Cocomelon, the most subscribed channel for the kids.
Yeah.
And usually half of the parents...
We're sharing visuals as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. And half of the parenting is being left to those Cocomelon, etc. So, what we did was that...
Cocomelon.
So what we did was that we came up with 13 poems, all of them are available on Free Quran Education.
MashaAllah.
Of those 13 poems, they are in a rhyme form, like just like a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But if your child gets those 13 poems for themselves, and if you play for your child, he will be able to understand 50% of the Quranic words just by memorizing those those 13 poems.
MashaAllah.
So, we are going the extra mile. So, not only the best scholar, but the best possible way, and then we bring it in all these 70 different languages as well.
And it's great and it's wonderful. So, imagine that you're making it simpler for us, and so you got this idea that, okay, if children can be on their tablets every single day, and they're like lakdi ki kaathi, all of that, and they remember it, or Cocomelon, or for all of those nursery rhymes which are going on. So, you made a few rhymes and you made sure that they learned them, because even if they are playing it on and on again and again, they will remember it, memorize it, and it will be easier for them to understand the Quran. Beautiful. I think it's a wonderful thing which you've done. But in addition to that, when you say that we have the biggest minds working for us, and they come and they deliver lectures, how do you identify that, okay, that this person is somebody who we would want to have on board, or this person is somebody who qualifies to be on the board? And because the reach is massive, it's 10 million people, it's quite a lot. It's 1 crore log, so imagine, and it's not just in Pakistan, it might be in Canada, UK, elsewhere, all over the world. So how do you identify and make sure that everybody you're picking up on to deliver a lecture or to make us understand actually kind of has a common ground? Because we do have a lot of polarization on these grounds as well. So we need to make sure it's a sensitive issue, it's a sensitive topic. We need to have people from all walks of life or all different backgrounds to kind of sit together, so that we do not really have, or we're not committing to polarization, God forbid.
So this is another challenge that understanding the Quran can solve.
True.
So what happens is that usually whenever, like for example, I'm an ENT surgeon as well, so there's a disease, then there would be different symptoms.
True.
So in order to treat the symptoms, it's important you treat the disease.
True.
So what happens is that if you keep treating the symptoms, even though for the time being you are giving them some benefit, but over the time that condition will start worsening.
The disease will come back.
The disease will come back. So for example, what we do is that our goal is identified that we want to make Islamic education universal, free, state of art, available to every single human being. And then we focus solely on the understanding of the Quran. So you walk up to any Muslim, any non-Muslim for that matter, any atheist, anyone, and you tell them that I am going to help you understand this book that's believed to be divine by 2 billion people, and he or she will have no problem being there. So for example, whenever we hold our events, there are people from all walks of life, all educational backgrounds.
Mr. Noman was there.
Mr.
Right?
Anan Ali Khan Sahab was also there,
Yes.
Dr. Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim, and so many different scholars as well. And many of them, 40 plus scholars, they're working with us as well, alhamdulillah. So what we do is that when we are identifying someone, we first and foremost, we see what are the audiences saying about him or her. So for example, we have been there since last 15 years.
Yep.
If we were contributing in any way to the polarization, it would have been highlighted massively.
True. God forbid.
Especially because of the audience size that we have now.
No, and the sole reason why I asked you or I posed you this question was that, that you certainly, being the person who's actually initiated all of this, really needs to be mindful of this.
Absolutely.
So when you're mindful of this, how do you ensure and how do you make sure that, yaar, please ye baat na karna, ye kar le?
So what we have is that we have a content filter team, a team of scholars with scholarly background who are able to vet out anything that we put on our platforms.
MashaAllah.
So we are always focusing on the understanding of the Quran part, although there is a funnel. So for example, what we do is that we try to sensitize them first on why they should understand. Because if I walk up to you and I tell you, come have this education, you will feel bored. You will say, I do not want to be put in an academic situation. I just got away from it for finally. Exactly. So what we do instead is that we first and foremost we sensitize that person on why he should be doing this, because again, like all of these authors, they say that the change has to be intrinsic.
True.
So for example, if you look back at the Islamic history, the Salah, it became compulsory 5 years after Islam. Likewise for the Rozas, and then the Hajj, it became compulsory from the 17th, 18th years onward, and the banning of alcohol was in 13th, 14th year. So my question is always for different people is that what was happening in those early 5 years of Islam? So there was a change that was manifesting inside, and then eventually it came outside. So our how we as a society focus is that we try to enforce that change from outside towards inside.
So we do not focus on inner calling. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I think religion or to be more religious is all about inner calling, and Allah picks and chooses people. It's not that we can do it ourselves, because God forbid, if you're not praying, ladies and gentlemen, that's how it comes to me. If you're not praying, Allah certainly might not even want you to pray. I think that's how it's going to be, and that's how I'm going to put it as well. So please make sure that you seek Allah's mercy, and please make sure that that you kind of try to be out there. I think because eventually when you start to think about all of those things, eventually when you start to think about Quran, the existence of Allah Almighty, Alhamdulillah, being Qadir, Ar-Rahman Rahimin, I think eventually that inner calling starts to build, and once it starts to build, you set on a voyage. You make sure that you learn about it a little more as well, and please make sure that you dedicate your time, because ladies and gentlemen, the sole purpose to be or to have this life is to make sure that hum Allah ki ibadat kare, nothing else, nothing beyond that as well. And Allah has given us all the liberty, do whatever you want to do during the day. Raat ke ek pahar mein utho, ibadat karo, mere se mango jo mujhe mangna hai. I think it's beautiful. But now let's come down to this point, Maaz bhai, ke, for anybody who's going to subscribe to your channel, what sort of holistic education are they going to get? Is it only going to be Quran? Is it going to be the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is it going to be the life of Sahaba as well? So is it going to be the life of all the 4 caliphs of Islam? So what are they going to be in for? Let's put it this way.
So for example, we have something for everyone.
MashaAllah.
So for example, if you go directly to our channel, the first thing you will see is a show. It's called I Am the Best Muslim. It's a superhero character. Every single episode of that, it's close to touching 1 million, or it has crossed 1 million plus views. So secondly, you will then be led to maybe the sensitization process. So the sensitization process is, I'd just like to quickly give one single example is like, for example, the Faisalabad city of Pakistan, it was originally called as Lailpur.
Lalpur, huh? It's
Right.
my village, yeah.
So there are two different cities in the Quran whose old name has been used just once. So for example, the Makkah Shahar, the Makkah city, its old name used to be Bakka from B.
Okay.
So you might ask that why just once the old name of the city Bakka has been used in the whole Quran. So what happened was that the Bakka, it's also one of the meanings of the Bakka is a crowded place.
Okay.
So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was speaking and the verse was Hajjul Baitun, that what are the different things you have to do while during Hajj in the city of Makkah, it was more appropriate to use the old name of city, which one of its meaning was a crowded place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the old name of the city there just once. That is the only place the exception has been made.
Beautiful.
So four times Medina is there and just once Yasrib has been used. But if you look at the translation, all 5 times Medina would be there. But your curiosity is piqued that why this single exception has been made. So it's so we cover 1,000 such examples in just one of our courses.
So a lot of detail.
So a lot of detail. And then like you mentioned, so for example, I came across so many different people who would tell us that we need the Iqbal ka Pakistan, we need the Janad ka Pakistan, and we are all like raising slogans, and you are motivated and you are having goosebumps while they're speaking, and they are fantastic orators. But once after the session is ended, because I'm a very practical minded guy, I walk up to them and like, what do we do next? And they are like, we just need that Iqbal ka Pakistan. Like, that's fine, but what's the next baby step, or how do you get to that Iqbal ka Pakistan? So when we tell our society that they should be prepared, they should know what the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala demands of them, and then at the same time, when you look at different, I would say very double standards, because my own children, they also get like, for example, different Qari Sahab, etc. So I was fascinated by this particular aspect, that the Qari Sahab used to come on his bicycle. He used to be paid maybe 500, 1,000 rupees in our neighborhood. At the same child, when he was being educated by perhaps an O-level tutor, A-level tutor.
45,000, 50,000.
50,000, maybe more for that same hour. So there are different priorities that we are placing on different things. And then one of the biggest, I would say, the feedback that I learned in my 15 years was that when it comes to Islam, we always go for quantity compared to quality. Although it should be the vice versa, because it doesn't matter that your daughter is getting through those 30 paras in 1 month or 2 months, but what's more important perhaps is that in those 2 months, she understands those 14 surahs, those 20 surahs for the rest of her life, not only reads them, but understands them, which is very easy.
I think it's wonderful, and thank you so much, Dr. Mars, for being with us. And at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, I would certainly want to second what Dr. Mars just mentioned. So imagine that you get somebody to teach your children Quran, and the only ujrat you're going to give them is, because they do not even refer it to as ujrat. I think there's another term for it.
Hadiya or something.
Hadiya, yes. So hadiya. My mother uses this term as well. So imagine we're only looking forward to 2,025 or 3,000 rupees. I think we certainly need to kind of maintain that balance. You go to Saudi Arabia, ladies and gentlemen, this is something which I've seen, that the kind of protocol which has been given to people, who actually are made sure, or the ulama or the people who actually lead the prayers, ladies and gentlemen, they're actually living a wonderful life. They have a wonderful lifestyle as well, and we certainly need to focus on that too as well. But thank you so much. Not just that, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you subscribe to Free Quran Education. Dr. Mars is actually educating people on every front. So free medical education, free animated education, and then they have built a world's largest Quran center as well, just around Rawat. 8,000 people have attended courses. It has a capacity of 1,600 people, and his mission is to have the world's largest non-profit animation illustration studio working to make education universal, free, state-of-the-art, and available to every single of you. With that, I'm heading out towards a short break. Now, I think that we have shared an example of what a youngster of Pakistan can do to make sure that he's going to give education, and that too for religious education, to all of those people out there. Now, the best part is that why don't we discuss that what the other youngsters can do? And I think that's something which we will be doing in the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning. It's a great day. और बातें करनी थी, मैं तो अभी फ्लो में आया था। मैंने अभी ये भी मेंशन करने लगा था, मैं चूंकि अब खुद कोशिश करता हूँ, ये देखिए मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ। तो मुझे ये पता नहीं था, मैंने क्या किया कि मैं ना फिर साथ साथ ना स्क्रीनशॉट्स लेते रहता हूँ। तो मैंने अपना कुरान और हदीस का अलग बनाया है जिसमें दुआओं के तर्जुमे हैं, एवरीथिंग इज़ देयर। अब इसमें मैं एक दिन कुरान की ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ा था, उसमें एक दिन लिखा था और तुम लोग शायरों के पीछे पड़ जाते हो। ये जो भी आपने इकबाल की बात की, मैं करने लगा था, मैंने कहा पाकिस्तान के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ना हो जाए। अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर जी, क्या करेगा नौजवान पाकिस्तान का?
अमेरिका घूमेगा और क्या करेगा?
आए ना, आए ना, इधर आए ना। Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to PT World. You're definitely watching World this morning. I think this information is for everybody who just got tuned into PT World. The name happens to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. And earlier, ladies and gentlemen, I was in conversation with the founder of the Free Quran Education YouTube channel, which has more than 10 million subscribers. And they offer their services in 70 different languages. And I believe that's the kind of youth we want from Pakistan, contributing towards the welfare of the society, making sure they're educating them every single day. I mean, and for a person like me, it's full of energy. It gets so difficult for me to just be at one place. I would want to stand up if my producer allows me to, to kind of further my conversation. And he all of a sudden said, no, you cannot stand up. Okay, but now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to delve into a conversation with one of my favorite speakers, who I'm very lucky that I've been joined by him as well. He happens to be Muhammad Abdul Wahab Saab. He's a motivational speaker, ex-UN officer as well. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, Shahzad. I'm feeling well. What about you? How was your
Absolutely
US
perfect,
trip,
sir.
by the way?
मेरा दिल जो है वो भी जवान है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, मैं खुद
माशाल्लाह,
भी
सही
जवान हूँ और मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि मुल्क के लिए कुछ अच्छा करूँ इंशाल्लाह.
Zabardast.
But now, sir, so we've shared one example, what Dr. Mas did for people, masses all over the world. Now, the topic today, which I wanted to discuss with you was, what do you think that the youngsters of Pakistan needs to do to make sure that they are contributing to the society every single day? Let's get started.
Excellent, Shahzad. I mean, you have chosen an excellent topic today. And let me tell you, this is perhaps a $1 trillion question these days. Youth is the driving force of Pakistan. It should be. It isn't right now, but it should be. Basically, what we have to do, we have to really, change our philosophy, we have to change our policy, and we have to bring or introduce every positivity in order to give control to youth.
See?
When we say youth, how to give control? You see, majority of Pakistan's population is youth.
Yeah.
We have been discussing that so many times, I mean, I won't go into that
आप तब
percentage
से
again.
डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, अब तो मैं यूथ से बाहर आ गया हूँ.
Exactly. No, but you can't say you are still, one of the youth,
That's so kind of
you
you.
can be real driving force. Behind the show, you are the real driving force, So, I must tell that, our youth needs to be empowered. We have been committing blunders. We need senior people, we need their guidance.
Yeah.
We need their expertise. We need their experience. But using that experience, using that expertise, we need youth.
All right. So let's identify this, because sir, most
Yes.
of the time whenever we talk, the conversation is, I mean, we do use very cool terms, holistically and
Exactly.
all of that. But let's be
Concrete, in concrete terms. yeah.
realistic, right? So imagine that when we say that that we need to empower the youngsters, I think what we're trying to say over here is they have internet, they have all the freedom, they can pick and choose, they can make good choices, they can make bad choices. How else do you want us to empower them?
Exactly. We have to stop all the financial leakages within our system
Okay.
and divert this financial leakages towards youth.
Okay.
Why? Our number one problem is illiteracy.
Yeah, that is.
Even, say if we have 30 or 35% literacy rate, even those, they are not properly trained. So let's give this responsibility to our youth, empower them, train them, pick leaders, and ask them to make their teams and provide incentives to every single young person to educate one more person
Okay.
in our villages and cities.
True.
You will see after 5 years, we give them some stipend. For example, give them a few thousand rupees we have a lot of money because, you know, I mean, we spend this money everywhere
You do.
unnecessarily.
I know you do have a lot of money.
We take special planes to other countries with a single person. Why can't we invest on youth? You
That's
see?
true. That's true.
So let's I mean identify. Let's say spending on youth can change the future of Pakistan.
Okay.
Make them responsible. Every youth will educate at least one person in next 2 years.
Yeah.
Double the task next 2 years. 5 to 10 years, you will see, I can bet on this, 100% literacy rate in Pakistan.
It's great, and you know, as per the education ministry, I think that the percentage is somewhere around 50, in between 50 to 60. It's not
Exactly.
35. You know, just wanted to correct you on this a little. And now, in addition to that, because what we're trying to say is that what do you think that the youth needs to do to make sure that they contribute to the prosperity of the country? Education is one. Okay,
Number
we
two.
got it. Okay, if I am that blessed gentleman who can actually
Exactly.
contribute to somebody's education, I should do it. And I
Exactly.
think it's wonderful, and
Exactly.
it needs to be a chain process.
Exactly.
Everybody who's learned from the society needs to give back to the society,
Exactly.
and that's something which I 100% agree on. Education, one.
Yeah.
Number two.
Number two, we are striving hard to fight our health problems.
True.
Our health sector is suffering from, I mean, a huge number of infirmities, you know. We have doctors, but we don't have jobs.
Yeah.
You go to villages, there is no doctor at all. People die. People can't reach hospitals. Why don't we have hospitals in our villages? I mean, we have 70% population living in rural areas. What we are giving to them, isn't it criminal? That we should enjoy luxuries and all facilities in cities, and we allow our villages to die in those, I mean, inhuman conditions.
True.
So, we must make by law, and we should give incentives to young doctors to go back to villages, and we should have not only basic health units in villages, but we should have reasonably big hospitals.
Sir, that's the problem of the doctors too now, you know, because I have a couple of my friends, they say that, okay, I've spent 6 years in Russia studying MBBS, now I'm here in Mandi Bahauddin, and he's like, you know, why did I even go to Russia then if I was to serve in Mandi Bahauddin? I think that's a problem with our doctors, yeah, but I agree with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we have to change the mindset as well. You know,
Or probably give the same
Mindsets-
incentives as people have been given over here.
Mindsets are always changed with sensitization.
True.
You know, we have to tell them, look, they are your people. This is your nation. Whatever you have learned, you have to transfer those skills. You have to employ those skills for the benefit of your people.
True.
I mean, having or acquiring education for the sake of education has no purpose at all, unless it is transferred.
Yeah.
So,
Or you use it for your betterment.
exactly.
Yes.
I mean, when you use it for your benefit, somehow it gets transferred to others as well. So once we will have these young doctors in hospitals across Pakistan in rural areas, our health sector will see a dramatic change, dramatic positive change. You see, I
Our
mean, we
nation
can do
will
this.
get healthier. There
We
will
will
be,
get
there will be
healthier.
lesser burden on the health sector.
Exactly.
People will be more aware. They'll be more
Exactly.
fit. They'll be able to do more.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Our, we were an agrarian society like almost 20, 30 years ago. You see, and we used to drive we used to drive inspiration that 70% of our economy is agriculture.
Yeah.
What has happened to agriculture? You know, we are importing almost every.
No, but sir, this year we had record yield of
But
wheat, I
you
guess.
will see hardly after 6 months we will be importing wheat from all other countries of the world, and our people will be left to that.
Okay, time will tell. But as of now, what the statistics say that we had
Experience.
a record yield.
If we have wheat, then we don't have godowns. We cannot store them. If we store them, we store them for the rats and mouses. You see, they eat them away.
But I'm
so they
looking
are not available for people.
But I'm looking forward to Langda Aam, you know, Chaunsa and all of that too as well.
Sorry to say, DHAs in Multan and Bahalpur, they have reduced mango production to
I think
almost
it's not
20%.
DHA, it's the people who have actually sold their land. You know, let's put it
Yeah,
this way.
but the thing is, I mean, we have to have a plan. You know,
Yeah.
we have to have a national plan that no agricultural land will be converted to societies whatsoever they are
True,
for.
that needs
You
to
see?
happen. I agree with this.
Exactly. I mean, for example, I'm leaving one of the sectors in Islamabad and we don't have a fence around. You see, so every dacoit is free to enter 24 hours a day. If we have a fenced society, things might be different. But some have fenced society, some don't have fenced society. This is disparity, you know.
Yeah, this is
so
disparity.
we have to remove this disparity.
Yeah.
But
And
anyway,
everybody thinks that they're living in Islamabad as well.
exactly.
I think that's something where we do not have any disparity. But okay, sir, coming back to the topic, first up, education, then is health.
Yes.
Number 3.
Number 3 is, I mean, for example, we are confronting with negative climate change consequences.
Okay.
You see, for example, you have seen we are having May, but it seems like it's like February in Islamabad. You see, nights are colder, mornings are colder, evenings are colder. Only during daytime, temperature goes up to 32, 33 degrees centigrade. So basically, I mean, we have to fight this menace. How can we fight? We have to train our youth to go every nook and corner of the country and to take part in plantation.
Okay.
You see, first, once we have trained our youth that, look, I mean, this is our vision. We want to change Pakistan's future after 10 years. So within 10 years, for example, you have to plant throughout Pakistan at least 2 to 3 billion saplings or trees. And I mean, olives, saffron, garlic, ginger, there are so many vegetables. You go to market, you will find the vegetable which we never used to eat 20 years ago. Now we have to pay at least 200 rupees for just a kilo of that vegetable.
Just the other day, my mother was telling me, because she bought, I think, 1.5 dozen of bananas. I mean, if it's dozen or kgs, I'm not aware of it. Darjan mein milte na kele?
Darjan, exactly.
Yeah. So 1.5
somewhere in kgs as well. In Europe, kgs as well.
1.5 dozen or 2 dozen bananas. And then, on Sunday, so there was this monkey guy, I was outside our house, and, my daughters, they were young. And, so whenever he's just, playing around with his duffly or the duff, the instrument he has in his hand, and, so all of a sudden my daughters actually run towards the bananas, that, because they need to give it to the monkey.
It's a precious commodity,
and then all of a sudden my mother was like, यार, 4 बनाने अगर ये 4 केले बंदर को खिलाने 1150 रुपए के मैं 1.5 दर्जन केले लेके आई हूँ, काम बड़ा महंगा पड़ जाएगा. For people who do not understand Urdu. So my mother bought those bananas for 1150 or 1200 rupees, and my kids kept on taking on bananas, feeding it to the monkeys. I mean, obviously a monkey, how many bananas can they eat? And then my mother goes like that, I've paid 1200 rupees and I haven't paid it for the monkey, I paid it for my children. And that was understandable, but it's great. Yeah, please continue.
Exactly. I mean, so what we have to do, I mean, we have to, when we put them in agriculture sector as well, for example, we need to get all these problems solved through educating them, go towards plantation, go for growing vegetables, go for growing fruits. This will really bring a positive economic change in society.
Thank you so much, sir, for saying that. And I think what I've established by far is, I think Abdul Wahab Sahab has actually hit the nail on the head. And it's because of the fact education, it's pivotal. Healthcare, ladies and gentlemen, is pivotal. The environment is pivotal for us to grow, nourish, and do whatever we want to do. But I think what I have established as of now from the points which have been given by Mr. Abdul Wahab is that we really need to set the basics right. So imagine that, that we live in a country where the basics are not set right. We do not have a national agenda to follow for each and every one of us, that, okay, that there's this one direction everybody needs to head in, and please make sure that you continue to strive for excellence.
Exactly.
Please go ahead.
Shehzad, I mean, one more important point is civic education as well. What we feel in Pakistan is dearth of civic education. We have quite educated people. Whenever you need to take stairs up to a second, third floor, you see that all people come from one side. They do not allow the climbers to have left side open for them.
True.
It happens everywhere. You go to a hospital, you go to an office, you are in a park, on a walking track, people try to occupy both sides for one side. You see, so this is only one of the cases. There are hundreds of cases like this. So we need, through youth, we have to train our youth, and then we have to give them responsibility to train the nation. Civic education is a must. You go for Hajj, and Pakistanis, because they come from those poorer background where they never see wheelchairs, they literally hit other Hajis with their wheelchairs, because they do not know that when they are moving a wheelchair, it needs to have at least 1 foot distance from the other pedestrians.
True.
You see, but other countries, Hajis, they are quite well trained. We don't have. Why? The reason is we haven't given attention to this very pivotal sector in Pakistan.
And sir, there's a reason to it. I just wanted to have a word with my audiences out there as well, and that is that, so these are the points which I'm going to mention to you, and that is that, imagine, so if we possess a little bit of patience, tolerance, equality, and we make sure that, there's inclusivity out there, I think we'll all move in the right direction. And the only problem where Wahab Sahab has actually mentioned that we might not be so good with the civic sense is this is something which I experienced in Turkey. So imagine that, most of the time we might refer to as Pakistan, that people all of a sudden, while the plane is even taxiing on the airport, we stand up and I don't know what we have in our bags. And that's exactly what I experienced in Turkey, in Germany, Scotland, wherever I went. So imagine I met this father in Turkey, and what he did was that he was jumping queues and he was making sure that his family was doing so. And just because I couldn't really, control myself, I went up to him and I was like, do you know what you're doing to your children? And he was surprised and shocked. He said, what? I was like, you're telling them that, that all of those civic rules which are in place, they're not supposed to obey them. Why would you do that as a father? And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kind of blaming all the parents out there, but there's a specific percentage of parents who actually teach their kids to do so, and that's the only problem we really need to address at this point of time. So Wahab Sahab, for all of those parents who've been making sure that that they've been driving fast while their kids are sitting around, they've been careless, they have not been respectable to people, they've been jumping queues, that's the civic sense we were talking about, right? So for all of those parents who've been doing it, the children actually think that if my father can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly.
So how would you address it?
How to address? The thing is, if you really want to bring a long-lasting change, you need to educate your kids. Only kids can. For example, I may tell you an example. I know a school where they give time to civic education as well.
Okay.
So the children were taught never ever throw any wrapper out of the car.
True.
And one day, a kid was driving with his father, and when he finished his last cigarette, he threw the packet out of the window.
Okay.
And the children cried, shouted.
Yeah.
Father, what have you done? You're not supposed to. My teacher has said that. At the same time, we have to address our elders as well. The thing is, we will have to revive a culture.
True.
Weekly meetings in big halls, town hall meetings, invite people, invite various segments of society and educate them. This is how we can do. And last but not least, mobile phone needs to be used positively.
Exactly.
Instead of Snapchat, WhatsApp, this and that,
Yeah.
bring positive material, spread positivity, spread civic education through this mobile phone.
And thank you so much, sir, for saying that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the positive use. So imagine, I have a particular folder which says Quran and Hadith, and I make sure that, with all the translations, I can actually read them as well. And that's a good use as well. You can use it for your betterment. But thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you.
Pleasure.
I'm short on time, so there's only one thing which I'm going to leave you all behind, and that is, please make sure that you start to behave like a nation. That's the only thing I wanted to say, ladies and gentlemen. Please do write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's World This Morning. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 4:05 today in the evening as well. Please make sure to tune in. Until next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Have a great day. Thank you.